But I want to begin with really an exchange between Peter Doocy of Fox News and Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary. I've known Peter since he was a teenager. His father, Steve Doocy, of course, the morning host on Fox and Friends, great family, the whole family, great people. Peter's become a rock star as a reporter. He's not a smart aleck and he's not a showboat, but he asks tough questions, and it's really interesting. You can tell that his questions are not part of the narrative that the Biden administration wants to be able to present. This is an exchange between Peter Doocy and Jen Psaki that I want you to see. We'll have a comment on it right after.
You say no Americans are stranded. This is someone in Kabul who says, I am stranded. So is there a better word for somebody who can't leave the house to get to the airport because Jake Sullivan says ISIS is outside the airport?
I would welcome you providing their phone number, and we will reach out to them today, and I can assure you of that.
Well, first of all, a little context. You may remember the day before, Jen Psaki took umbrage because Peter Doocy asked how many Americans are stranded. And she said, nobody is stranded. Everybody that wants to leave can, which I thought was the nuttiest thing I've ever heard. It's like saying to somebody sitting in the exit row of an airplane, now, are you able and willing to open the exit door? Folks, when the airplane crashes and it's on fire, you're willing to get out of the plane. Nobody says, I'm sorry, I'd like to finish this magazine article. Or, gee, I have half a pretzel to finish before I can get out. To say that people just want to hang around in Afghanistan is nuts. But she took great offense that he used the word stranded. So when it turned out that there are thousands of Americans, and what other word could we use? And that's what he pointed to her. What would you like to call these people who want to get out but they can't get to the airport? Her answer is very revealing. She says, give me their names and numbers. We'll call them. Well, now we know if we give the names and numbers, they turn it over to the Taliban, because Joe Biden admitted as much, that they had a list and they gave it to the Taliban, because there's nobody more trustworthy with the names, addresses, phone numbers of an American or an Afghani trying to get to the airport than to hand it to the Taliban, who likely will beat them up or kill them. It is just beyond comprehension that anybody thought that that was a good idea, that we could trust the Taliban.
This comes from Kim Lamberts from Morgan, Vermont. Dear Governor Huckabee, I'm wondering if you know any group who is actively trying to rescue Afghan women and children and Christian families being hunted down by the Taliban. I have a real burden from the Lord to help them. I'm looking for an organization who can get in there and mount a rescue. Is Samaritan's Purse going in, or is it too dangerous? I want to support special ops, anyone who knows how to rescue, as I see that our military has their hands tied. Thank you. A sister in Christ, Kim Lamberts.
Well, Kim, there is actually a very massive effort going on the part of former military, because as you know, the active military are not being given the orders that they can go in and extricate these Americans or the Afghani partners. But a lot of the people who have served in Afghanistan and whose lives were saved by these partners, they want to get both the Americans and those translators and the others who helped us, who saved American lives, get them out of there, because they know that if they don't, they're going to get slaughtered. They are going to get slaughtered. And there's a group of former military operatives, and there was a very good story on, of all places, ABC News yesterday, and it kind of tells about this group. What I can't tell you, but you might be able to go to the web and look it up and do a search on it, if there's a way to get in touch with the organizing group. But there are hundreds of our military people, former military, that are risking their lives to go in and get Americans out, because they feel like they just cannot wait for Joe Biden to realize that Americans are being stranded. Sorry, Jen Psaki, but they are being stranded. One of the reasons all of this is happening so quickly is because Joe Biden is married to this deadline of August the 31st, which makes no sense, especially because why do we care what the Taliban thinks? But obviously we do. Here is an interview that Sky News had with the head of the Taliban talking about this date, and could it be flexible to give us more time to get our people out. Watch.
If the US or the UK wanted to extend the 31st of August deadline in order to continue evacuations out of the country. Would you agree to that?
No, it's a red line. President Biden announced this agreement that until 31st of August they would withdraw all their military forces. So if they extend it, that means they are extending occupation. If they are intent on continuing the occupation, so it will provoke a reaction.
Well, let me tell you what ought to provoke a reaction. One hair on the head of an American getting injured, that ought to create a reaction from our government and from Joe Biden. And I couldn't believe, this guy says, you know, Joe Biden set that deadline and, you know, he's got to keep it. Well, the Taliban also said they would make sure that all the people who wanted to get out could get out and they wouldn't be hindered. And all the Afghans who wanted to get out could get out and they wouldn't be hindered. That was a lie. So we are not bound to a date certain if the Taliban don't keep their end of the deal. And why we would ever trust them, it absolutely boggles the mind. And all I can do is say, folks, it's time to pray. Pray for those people who are in the midst of harm's way. And there are a lot of our fellow Americans who are there and a lot of good and decent people. And I fear especially for women and little girls in Afghanistan who will go from being well-educated entrepreneurs and leaders and educators into basically hunted prey the moment the last American leaves that country. That's going to be a horrible tragedy. Now, if you're seeing this, I know you've enjoyed that video. I mean, how could you not, after all? So you know what you should do? Leave a like, click on the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell next to it so you'll always know when I have another video up for you to enjoy.